Bradshaw.
You know how devious you got to be to steal somebody's passport and leave them stranded in another country? To be honest, JBL, one of the worst wrestlers I ever came across in my wrestling viewership, okay? Now we're about to find out why he's one of the most hated men in wrestling. Maybe some of this backstory will make me hate him a little less. Doubt it, though.
Fans will
Chain for real drop, we'll do
remember
that too.
John Bradshaw Layfield for one of his runs in WWE. As Bradshaw, he tag teamed with Farouk in the Attitude Era as the Acolytes, also known as the APA. Later, during the Ruthless Aggression era, Bradshaw would morph into a totally different character, that of JBL,
was good,
and would main event the SmackDown brand and become WWE Champion. Bradshaw started his sporting career in football.
Bro, look at him, bro. If he went to my high school, I just know I'ma dislike him because he probably do dumb stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Throw peas across the cafeteria, bother the substitute, get the whole class in trouble. He looked like one of them, all right? One of those.
Football, having signed with the Los Angeles Raiders, but he was released before the 1990 season began.
Oh, that's crazy.
By 1992, Bradshaw had transitioned to pro wrestling, debuting for the Global Wrestling Federation based in Texas. Bradshaw had a full and varied career, utilizing an entertaining, roughneck, stiff Texan style in the ring, no matter which persona he was inhabiting. He would retire from full-time wrestling in 2009 to pursue outside...
Yo, that man clothesline low-key lethal. Hey, no props to this man, though. No props.
...interests, later returning to the company in a
He wanted to be one of those jocks in college or high school?
However,
Facts.
throughout Bradshaw's career, there have been many reports of him attacking other personnel backstage. Even viewers watching at home weren't saying...
See, you can just look at somebody and you know something's not right with him. All right, this not a good person, okay? And the moment I seen JBL walk out with the limousine with the horns on the front, I said, this isn't a good guy, all right? And look at me, I was right.
Safe, with Bradshaw providing some of the worst commentary in WWE history. In this video, we will take a closer look at exactly why John Bradshaw Layfield is one of the most hated men in wrestling.
Yo. All right, let's get it.
There is one allegation that arises again and again from people who have been around Bradshaw backstage in WWE.
Dude, Breezy was good.
Of bullying and intimidation. Many WWE employees...
You said Bradshaw used to have a house a few blocks from you in Texas? Yo, drop the Addy, man. I need to go talk to him. I need to see if he still lived there.
Have either reported witnessing Bradshaw throwing his weight around backstage or say that they themselves have been the target of his harassment. The list of former and current WWE personnel that have come forward with these allegations is long.
Edge!
But they each have their own story to tell.
Yo, ain't no way he was bullying Edge behind the scenes.
The Blue Meanie says
Jay
that
was
he
good.
felt the full
We gonna do a wave check after this video, all right? Make sure y'all turn y'all screen recorders on. Because listen, these the coldest waves y'all ever seen in your life.
Force of Bradshaw's fists in the most public way possible on television in front of millions of fans. At the ECW
Jay, I know you see the title of the stream, big dog.
Tribute show One Night Stand in 2005, Bradshaw hit the Blue Meanie so hard that he punched open the staples that he'd had inserted into his head the night before, causing blood to pour out of the wound once again. Later, the Blue Meanie posted on his MySpace page, "It's no secret that Bradshaw never liked me, from my first day in WWE to my last." Bradshaw's stiff punches to the Blue Meanie's head wasn't an accident, and he even considered filing a lawsuit against him in the days after the attack. The Blue Meanie would eventually back off on the lawsuit, however he would still get a measure of revenge when WWE decided to capitalise on the animosity between the men and book them in a match. Meanie's longtime tag team partner Stevie Richards clattered Bradshaw with a savage chair shot, which was a receipt for his friend's treatment at the time. The exact reason that Bradshaw beat up the Meanie in the first place is unclear, career. Some say
That's
that
crazy.
Meanie had been writing bad.
That's the thing about wrestling, though. You beef with the opponent that you got to get in a wrestling ring with, and they may be a little bit, aggressive on their spear, they clothesline, they choke slam, and it's like you got to stay in character. I don't think I can handle that. Somebody hit me with a chair in the head too hard. Look, we turning it to UFC. This match is over with. No more suplexes. I'm putting you in the rear naked choke. You're done. All right.
Words about Bradshaw on the internet, while Bradshaw himself in an interview with WWE.com said, "The incident with Meanie had nothing to do with any old..."
You said, Holla, if you had one wish, what would you want? Let me think.
Heat. I don't even know the guy. I couldn't care less about the fat little kid. For other alleged victims, however, it seems that Bradshaw's bullying was completely unprovoked, and they felt it wasn't possible to fight back. It seems more cruel to pick on non-wrestlers, as Bradshaw allegedly has done on multiple occasions. Not even announcers, referees or women were safe. Charles Robinson and Billy Silverman came over from the rival organisation to work as referees in the WWF. Silverman and Robinson in particular became whipping boys for the bullies. According to Silverman, there were many abuses, with one of the worst occasions being when Robinson was held down and stripped before being bound with tape and gagged.
Dude, what is up with the freakiness that be going on backstage in wrestling, bro? First, you had Edge with another man's wife, had her ankles by her earlobes, going to Sexy Red's Pound Town, and now you got Buddy holding people down, stripping them naked, taping them up, gagging them, wheeled around naked. Yo, it is a freaky boy show backstage in WWE, let me tell you.
Robinson was then
Brittany was good.
attached to a cart and wheeled around the arena backstage naked for everyone to laugh at. Silverman also alleged that Bradshaw threatened him with violence if he didn't carry large amounts of his liquor across the Canadian border for him. When Silverman quit his job with the WWF, he specifically cited Bradshaw's behaviour towards him as the main reason. Former ring announcer Justin Roberts worked for WWE for 12 years. He released a book after he'd finished with the company entitled Best Seat in the House, where he gives a first-hand account of the bullying and harassment he faced during his time in the company. That's crazy. Roberts stated that Bradshaw repeatedly told him to go and kill himself each time they came into contact, and referred to Roberts as dipshit and numb.
Bro, what did I tell y'all? I told y'all at the beginning of the video, I scanned JBL's badges and I said, listen, you one of those. He's one of them kids in school that just like to terrorize everybody for no reason. It just so happened that he big. You give him a quick 1-2 piece to the temple, down goes Goliath, brother.
Nuts. Roberts also relayed a story in which he had his passport stolen on a tour of the UK, meaning he couldn't fly home with the rest of the crew. Shit and numbnuts. Roberts also relayed a story in which he had his passport stolen on a tour of the UK, meaning he couldn't fly home with the rest of the crew and had to visit the US Embassy in London to get the situation sorted out. Justin Roberts didn't name Bradshaw in the book. He chose to keep him anonymous instead. John Morrison confirmed that it was him in an interview.
That's crazy. You know how devious you got to be to steal somebody's passport and leave them stranded in another country? Yo, where's JBL at these days, man? I want my 1v1, bro. I need it.
Or had asked him and his tag team partner at the time, Joey Mercury, to steal Roberts' passport for him, but they both refused to do it. In a long deleted tweet, Bradshaw refuted the claim that it was he who took the passport from Roberts, saying, "I didn't take Justin Roberts' passport.
Gabriel was good.
Anyone. He was hated by the whole crew. He's an idiot." Dave Meltzer reported in his newsletter an incident where Bradshaw went after a non-wrestler member of staff who had taken time off from WWE to look after a parent
He's a nice
who was
person.
dying at the time.
He must pay for his sins, though.
Reportedly abused this individual for taking time off under the circumstances to look after that parent. The target of the abuse was speculated to be Lillian Garcia, the ring announcer. Garcia was reportedly reduced to tears backstage after the tirade from Bradshaw.
Yo,
Bradshaw
somebody should have been back
reportedly
there putting hands and feet on him.
Also previously dumped a bucket of ice water over Lillian Garcia's head while she was asleep as a rib. Pro wrestling has always had a culture of ribbing and prank playing. The question is, when does ribbing become simply making someone else's life on the road a total misery? In Jeff and Matt Hardy's book, they wrote about one of their early encounters with Bradshaw. They wrote, "All right then," Bradshaw said, "I'm going to give you boys a little assignment. I want you to buy 2 6-packs of beer. On the drive home, I want you to drink them and throw the bottles at road signs." "Okay," I said, even though I was pretty sure we weren't going to do it. The next day, we were in Charlotte. Bradshaw pulled me aside and said, "Hizardi, your mission was fairly simple. Were you successful?" "What's that?"
Who talks to people like this? This don't even sound like... This sound like people who be playing... Look, no disrespect, okay? But this sound like people who be playing like Dungeons and Dragons in they lair 32 hours straight. No, listen, swamp butt. These is the way they be talking when they be playing that. Why is JBL talking like this?
"Did you get the beers and throw them at road signs?" "No man, we didn't. We don't drink. All we had to do was lie. We should have lied. It would have been a lot easier." Bradshaw was pissed off in the worst way. For the next few weeks, we'd say hello to him and he'd just say, "Go to hell." We'd go to shake his hand and he would look at us, not extending his hand. "Go to hell." Our match was next, so we went to the ring and wrestled, and when we came back, our bags had disappeared. Our clothes, our money, our credit cards.
Okay, my clothes, alright. My money, my credit cards. Yo, it's 2 of y'all. Listen, my man is gonna get jumped like he one of the anime fight back characters. That's what I'm gonna turn him into. There's no way, bro. There's no way.
That's everything. The room was completely empty. Then Bradshaw came
Aiden was good
and said, "What's wrong, guys?" In his book, Adam Copeland on Edge, Edge wrote about a time early in his WWF career where he was encroached upon by Bradshaw while naked in the showers after a match. The light shining into the shower was suddenly blocked out. I looked over to see Bradshaw standing there in his full cowboy wrestling garb. I went back to soaping myself up until I felt a large calloused hand placed on my tush. I knew both of my hands were in front of me, and I had a sinking suspicion I knew what crazy Texan was lathering my ass.
What are we talking about right now? Yo, JBL is a sick, freaky boy. He was tying up referees, wheeling them around naked, putting gags in their mouth, walking up the edge in the shower, sudsing up his backside. Yo, oh my goodness. That boy's a demon.
In an interview, Rene Dupree...
Why didn't nobody fight him, bruh? Some dude walk in the shower and start putting, Dove soap suds on my butt. I'm sorry, bruh. It's a fight to the death. This is a death match. All right? Yo.
Dupree described Bradshaw's presence backstage and some of his tactics. Go watch the movie Dazed and Confused. It has a character played by Ben Affleck who basically flunked himself out of high school for the sole purpose that he can come back and haze the young kids coming from junior high and hit them with the stick. That's the best description I can give of Bradshaw. He never personally does anything, but he gets people under him, like the military, a lower ranking person, to do his dirty work for him. Dupree debuted in WWE at the age of 19, and he says that he was subject to regular abuse from Bradshaw. In a shoot interview, he said, "He's a piece of... He's a racist."
I knew that. I knew that.
Used the term every time I walked into the locker room. Steve Blackman has always been considered a genuine badass, the kind of wrestler who could make you his bitch if he really wanted to. Surprising then that Bradshaw took a pop at him. Bob Holly relayed the story in his book, The Hardcore Truth. Steve and I were waiting around when Bradshaw came over. It was an early morning flight and John was still drunk from the night before. He started patting Steve's ass.
Yo, he's a freak. Yo.
Steve said, John, I don't play that. Knock it off. John patted him again and again. Steve was getting brutally pissed. He told him, John, next time you do that, I'm going to knock your teeth
And what
out.
happened after?
So, of course, John did it again. Steve whipped around and backhanded Bradshaw, popping him with jabs in the face. John started swinging and missing, and his head was snapping back with each of Steve's jabs.
Yo, that boy was mixing him. Hit him with, ming. Boy's getting cooked out there.
Steve stepped back, planning to kick Bradshaw's knees out, but he got his leg caught in a bag handle. Al Snow and I grabbed Steve, Ron Simmons grabbed John, and we pulled them apart. John was walking back and forth like a bandy rooster, looking to fight. Before we left, Steve told him, I'm going to kill you. He meant it too. Bradshaw approached Blackman later in the day to apologise, but Blackman refused to accept the apology, with Blackman saying again that he was going to kill him. At the arena, word had spread amongst the locker room that Bradshaw was in big trouble. If you have something to say to me, say it now, or I'm going to end you in front of everyone, Blackman warned. Bradshaw ended up sincerely apologising to Blackman, who graciously decided to back off. While it's crazy. No surprise that the wrestler, dubbed
I don't know
the
if I'm
world's
taking no
most
apology,
dangerous
though.
man, snapped in the face of Bradshaw's bullshit. It's more surprising to hear that Joey Styles did the same. It was during WWE's 2008 tour of Iraq, where Bradshaw had reportedly spent the majority of the week severely intoxicated and decided to make Styles the latest target of his abuse. It's not known whether Styles snapped due to a build-up of bullying or a single comment, but either way, he couldn't take it any longer. As other individuals moved in between the two men to try and break them up, Styles slammed Bradshaw with a huge right hand, leaving Bradshaw with a black eye that was still visible on Monday Night Raw a few days later. It's unclear as to whether the punch knocked Bradshaw out, but it was said that it shut him up for the rest of the overseas.
Boy, why do you keep messing with people? It's really not that hard to live life and just move on.
Trip.
They should have listen.
Y'all
seen the one fight where the guy was in a playground getting jumped into the gang? Listen, I would have got everybody backstage and we would have turned them into that.
To other backstage reports, Bradshaw spent the majority of that Monday night alone in the locker room, being very quiet and spending time with his head down, emailing people on his phone. In the wider context, Bradshaw managed to piss off a country of fans when he got banned from Germany for throwing up the Nazi salute and goose stepping around the ring. It was June 2000.
See, I didn't even know all of this. And I knew he was a bad guy. Some people you could just look at and you like,
for throwing up the Nazi salute and
that's crazy.
Stepping around the ring. It was June 2004 and the WWE were on their European tour, stopping off in Munich, Germany for a house show. Bradshaw was teaming up with Booker T to take on Eddie Guerrero and The Undertaker in a tag team match. During the match, Bradshaw made the Nazi salute not once but numerous times and then went goose-stepping all over the ring. The taunt nearly caused a riot to break out in the arena amongst the fans, and Bradshaw ended up being banned from Germany because of it. Nazi saluting and goose-stepping is actually illegal.
What the heck is goose-stepping? What is that?
Everywhere in Germany for obvious reasons.
I'm going to look it up after
Bradshaw
this video.
Didn't seem to care.
Matter of fact, maybe I shouldn't look it up. All right, don't want that in my my YouTube search history. So somebody find me a video. What is goose stepping? That's what.
Interview later, he said, "I'm a bad guy. I'm supposed to incite the crowd. I've done it for decades. I really didn't think anything of it. I know how bad it is. I've lived in Germany. I draw the line between me and my character."
Yo, he's a sick man, bruh. He's a sick man.
By the end of June 2004, Bradshaw would become WWE Champion. The transformation from Bradshaw, the tag team partner to Farouk, into JBL, the cowboy hat wearing heel, happened in the blink of an eye. Before we knew it, JBL had defeated Eddie Guerrero for the WWE title.
I remember that.
This video isn't about JBL's in-ring work or his on-screen persona, and I know some people will disagree. but I think JBL made for an effective bad guy, and I like strong heel characters. Personally, I really enjoyed seeing Bradshaw as WWE champion. I wouldn't call him a wrestling god or anything, and I would have preferred to see a
Bro, I remember this episode.
3-month-long reign instead of a 9-month-long reign, but I still enjoyed it. After losing the belt to John Cena at WrestleMania 21, JBL would be reduced to US title level before starting to wind down his in-ring career and moving into commentary. JBL's move into commentary was ill-advised, to say the least.
That's
Undoubtedly,
crazy.
He was one of the worst, most irritating commentators in WWE history, and listening to him on Raw made a 3-hour show feel like a 6-hour show. In an interview with Rick Bassman on his Talking Tough podcast, Bradshaw was asked about his reputation of being a bully. He said, "You know, I could have deserved it. I don't know. We were younger, we broke balls, and I was a loud guy from the South. And a lot of people, I think, took that wrong."
Took it wrong? Yo, son. I hate when people say dumb stuff like that. They be like, man, I guess everybody just doesn't understand my sense of humor. What?
Whatever you...
Yo, grabbing a man's cheeks in the shower, that's not funny. Smacking the dude's butt in the airport, not funny. All right, what else did he do? He tying somebody up to a something you could wheel him around in, naked with a gag in there. That's not funny. What is wrong with him?
You believe about John Bradshaw
Corey was
Layfield?
good.
There are few others in wrestling with this many allegations about their behaviour backstage.
Yeah, get that man. Hey, we might need to do that Scott Steiner joint next. Look, I had to get JBL out the way. I've mentioned him in all 4 or 5 of the recent wrestling videos we had to let y'all know there was nobody I hated more than JBL and Randy Orton. And after watching Randy Orton's, I kind of, I understand the character a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? I give him that. JBL, get him out of here. Terrible human being, man.
So when the metal hit his mug, he just sunk in place. 100K Holla, chillin' Bahamas. Come home to your crib and throw in your mama.